For about 10 years now, I've been spending many hours in the winter months plotting, planning, transferring routes for motorbike journeys the following summer. It's quite a pastime in the winter months to be able to do that. I've done them on my PC, I've transferred in Basecamp, I've transferred them to Garmin, and off we've gone. And we've never had any problems except for this year. If you've watched the video I posted on my brother and myself and our wives going through the Pyrenees, you'll realise that nearly every morning that we left our hotel, within a short period of time, the Garmin was telling us we were off route. Sometimes within 100 yards of the hotel. Chaos. All that planning that I'd done meant nothing. There's not one single day for 1,500 miles did our Garmin route take us where we wanted to go. We had to abandon it. My brother's an expert on IT. He took his MacBook along with him and he worked on it in the evenings. Every morning we had the same problem. Something was seriously wrong. But of course the difference was that I'd always done it on a PC and now I had a Mac. So when I came back, I searched the YouTube channels for tutorials on Basecamp routes for motorbikes using a Mac. There's a lot using the PC. Eventually I found one by Kevin Peterson in the United States, and he'd had exactly the same problem we had, rerouting. I'm taking you on another route, says Garmin. You'll enjoy this a lot better. But it's taking you on motorways and highways and freeways and everything else. It's not taking you where you want to go on a motorbike. Kevin found this and he went back over it and he looked at what he was doing wrong. Now what I found is that many bikers have no idea of how to plan a route. They can read a map and there's nothing wrong with that. They can follow a guidebook, a magazine that has a route around it. They can download a route that many of the magazines do, and they do it amazingly, as a GPX file, and they can follow that on their Garmin. And many bikers go on organised trips with 10 or 20. I suppose there's safety in numbers. But I've never done that. I've always gone one or with my wife or two of us, and enjoyed the trips that we've done. So how do you plan a route? How do you do it? It's not as difficult as you think. Basecamp, the latest version for Mac, and then you can load it straight onto your MacBook or your iMac. This is what you're likely to see. At a reduced size, we'll just enlarge it so you can see it a little bit more clearly. You see it's very basic, simplistic. First thing you do is plug in your Garmin or your Navigator into your computer and let it load up, and you'll see the detailed maps that are held on your Garmin will now appear on Basecamp itself, because you need, in reality, much more details you see there. So let's just plug in and wait until it loads. You'll see it come up here where it says Garmin, My Garmin Devices, and you'll know that your Garmin is connected when the details of it come up here, which will include the maps that came with your Garmin. Because we're in Britain, you tend to get all the European maps, but depends where you are in the world is the maps that you get with your Garmin, or you've bought or you've added later, whatever you want to do. So let's plug in the Garmin and see what happens. There are the detailed. That's incredible, isn't it? That's now coming from your Garmin device. Now let's focus up on where I live, Chesterfield, and down the bottom you can see if it highlights there, and we're quite way out. So let's hit the plus button or the plus on your keyboard. The plus on your keyboard is very useful. You just hit it, or the minus to make it smaller. So I'm now going to use the keyboard, and you see what it does. It does it in steps, and I'll center Chesterfield for what I want to demonstrate. So that's a very detailed map. So let's set up your Basecamp program. You only have to do this once. You go up into Basecamp, Preferences, hit Preferences, and you've got these headlines, this toolbar here. So the next one is Display. Most of these factory default settings you'll be perfectly fine with, but there is one here called Hide Map Features. This is all the information that Garmin have about everything in the map you're looking at, from petrol stations to fire stations to railway stations, hospitals, whatever you want. The default setting is virtually they're all ticked. What does that mean? Let me come out of it and show you. If I enlarge in steps, so let me hit it once, the plus sign. And there you have it. You can see the different highlights that Garmin Basecamp have built into it. There is everything there under the sun, and you would find it very hard to plot a route through a town. This is Chesterfield's only a town. If I went on to Sheffield, you'd hardly see the place for these. So you may want to clear a lot of these details before you start routing. So how do you do that? You go, let's go back in to Basecamp, Preferences. Let's move this to one side so you can see what I'm going to do. You now go on to Hide Features and have a look down these at ones you don't want. Let's take attractions just to give you an example, because every time you click the arrow you'll see a sub-menu, everything from amusement parks to winery. But I'm doing a motorbike tour. I'm not going to go into Alton Towers while I'm on this, so I click that off. And gradually, you might find that you can click off a lot of them you don't want. And if you look at the map, every time it's refreshing, there's less and less being shown. See, entertainment, for instance, bar, nightclub, casino. Well, no, as you said, we're on a motorbike journey. Food and drink. Stop and have a coffee. Fuel, yeah, I do want fuel. Geographic places, no. Hospital, no, I hope not. Lodging, well, what's under lodging? There's bed and breakfast, campgrounds, I'm not a camper. Motel, yeah. Park, I don't want that, so that's fine. Marine, well, look what's under marine. It's everything, current station, depth fishing. Definitely don't want that, do you? So you can click up a lot of these, especially when you hit the shopping one. See what happens with the shopping one there. Now what we've done now, and if I can OK that and hide that, we've gone from a very cluttered map to one that has just got bed and breakfast and petrol in my case. You choose what you want. And then when we go down in size again, they will disappear at certain size. But what you'll find that when you're doing routing, when you get to a city, you have to enlarge the map. So you choose what you want. Once you've done it, that's it set. So that's the display complete, and apart from going in at a later time and changing things that you found that you do need, that will stay for every adventure, every route that you make. The next symbol is the routing preferences themselves. 3 little squares in an arrow shape. When you go onto this, you can see that it's asking you the preferences you want when you ride your bike. Fastest time, curvy roads. To me, what's very important is the type of avoidances you want. You choose these. Unpaved roads I click, and cable cars and things like this. Now, most bikers will choose curvy roads because this is something that Garmin introduced a few years ago. And if you're going from one place 50 miles across the country to another one, you just want the start and the end in, and then that's brilliant because your Garmin will take you on the curviest roads it can find. However, it's not the best idea to have curvy roads clicked when you're planning a route, especially if you go through a town or a city. Let me show you why. Let me put it onto fastest time. and just close it. And I'll enlarge this map a little bit to demonstrate what I mean. So here we are in Chesterfield. I'll go one more click up. And when you start planning a route, you go to File, New List. The new list comes up here. You call it something, let's say a test route. Test route, and return it, and then you're ready to start a route. You then go to this symbol again that we spoke about, the creation of routes, and it comes up with this. This will be normal if you just wanted to go from start to finish. You put your start, you put your finish, and it will choose the fastest or the curviest route. Remember, we're on fastest at the moment. When you're planning an adventure across Spain or Italy or wherever, on a motorbike especially, you'll find this is not the one to use, unless you want to get there quick. So close that each time. You now have your cursor with the 3 squares and the little arrow, which is showing that you want to plan a route. Now, if you wanted to go through a city or a town, let's just show you. Let's just go from here, this spot Kalo, and across to here. Now the fastest route does exactly what it says. Click on the hand to get rid of it, continuing planning. You notice the fastest route has done exactly what it says on the can. It's taken you straight through there, the best route to be able to go through. Now let's get rid of that and put it onto curvy route. So I delete that, and now we're going to go into preferences and change it to curvy route. Do exactly the same. I'll go from, we start the route, get rid of that, and go from Kalo to there. Now look what it's done. It's done what Garmin is supposed to do. It's found the curviest route that it could possibly get you through a town. You imagine that you've reached a very, very busy Spanish town as all the people are going home from work, and you want to get it through it fast, and your sat-nav happens to be on curvy route. That's what it'll do for you. It'll go through estates anywhere that it can get you through with more curves. Now, I know this town, I know these roads. This road here, for instance, is very, very narrow. It's a nightmare getting through all these little roads. This is a big council estate. Come down here. All of this is very, very difficult. This one here is really just an entrance to a factory area. Garmin doesn't know that, but it's taken you on a curvy route. If you've got curvy route while you're plotting a route, you'll find that every time you'll get this. So it's best not to do it. So now let's get rid of that. Change back to fast route as our basic. So now let's try plotting a route. We're on the fastest time, and we'll just do a route around the Peak District, maybe take a half a day or a day, and see how easy it actually is. So again, you go to File, New List. Let's put Peak Route and return. Go on to Create Route, get rid of that as we said, and now you're ready to start. I want to start around about CMC in Claycross, which many bikers know. and it's just here. So let's start the route here. We want to go up and take what I know is a roundabout just here, so go past the corner, along here. There's a fork in the road, but I want to go this way. So past the corner and put another waypoint up to there. Across the road to here. And at this fork I want to go down to Beeley. So we can go all the way down here. And you're creating waypoints. And then Chatsworth House is just here. I want to pass Chatsworth House and go to Beeley. Now that's exactly the route I want to take. Use your left, right, up and down arrows to move across to get more map. It's better than using your mouse itself. So go down with the map now, and we'll take the route up to here. This is a lovely biking road. Because we're on the fastest route, it's not taking us on the curvy route, it's taking us where we actually want to go in this particular case. So down to here, and we want to end up in Buxton. We'll have a coffee in Buxton, and then we'll come back on out of Buxton on this road. See how quickly you can do this. And I do it for the whole of Spain. Once I know which hotel I'm leaving, which hotel I'm going for, I can have a few choices, look at the territory, look at the road. I don't want motorways. I don't want tiny little single track roads in many cases. So you can begin to work it out for yourself. Now, how are we going to get through here? We're down to, let's go down to Bakewell. And I think I'll come back via Kelstitch. And I know the way back to my house. I normally do it through Alton. Now that's interesting, isn't it? I might think now, actually I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go another way. What you do now is just go into Edit, Undo, and it'll undo just that last bit that you did. So don't panic thinking, oh, I've got to start all again. So what I'll do now is I'll go down to this area and then up through here and through to there. Let's move the map over and back home. And that can be the finish of the route. Go onto the hand so that you can now move the map around. And what is often good is to enlarge it at this stage. So hitting the plus button, you can enlarge and you can have a very careful check of your route and see whether it is what you wanted. And you can go through it. I wanted to turn there, wanted to go along there. And that's how you do it. That's your route here. You can then transfer it to your Garmin. You hit transfer, send peak route to device. That's my device. Select what you want to send, the route themselves, send. Transfer complete, close. It's now in your Garmin. You can do so many routes so fast. Now the biggest advantage, as we've said right from the beginning, is that your Garmin will stick to those routes because it won't deviate from those waypoints. If you just done from one to the other, it could deviate all the time. Because the waypoints are quite frequent every few miles, it will stick to it. It won't reroute you unless you want it to, unless you want to go a different way. And then, of course, you can. But that's your route. Plan it in the winter. Enjoy summer.